Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 489 of Ink in Your Veins. I'm Rachael Herron. I'm so thrilled that you are here with me today as I am talking to Marybeth Mayhew Whalen. This is a fantastic interview on circling the laptop, which you might be a dance move that you are familiar with. We also talk about ideation and the little red dress theory, and we talk about never giving up. So stick around for that. What is going on around here? Oh my gosh. Well, my goddaughter Tani was in town, and it was amazing and lovely and everything I needed. And I miss her, and it was wonderful. I actually just wrote my Patreon essay on Tani herself. And the idea that I know this is true about myself, that my core themes when I'm writing are always chosen family and the mother-daughter relationship. And in Tani, I have both. I have chosen family and I call her my goddaughter. And in the Patreon, I go into why that is. And that was wonderful. It's summer. It was fun. We went to the beach. We swam. We did all the things, but mostly we just hung out and it was gorgeous. And she left. And since she left, the day after she left, I opened Ink Village. And that is what I want to talk about before we get into the interview. What is Ink Village? Y'all, I am so excited about what this is. This is my new venture. Adventure. This is my new adventure, and I am inviting you to come along. Please listen for a moment about what it is, because you may be interested, and there are some secret things I'm going to tell you in here. So, what is Ink Village? Ink Village is it's an online community of writers, and the reason I'm doing it, there are many reasons. I want more time to do my own work. I will be paid less from Ink Village than I do from teaching. And I will go back to teaching. For those of you who are desperate to get into 90 Days to Done or 90-day revision, those will be coming back. But at this moment, I absolutely have to put my focus into a few book things. And when I started to open the classes, I couldn't do it. I was looking at my list of to-dos and thinking, okay, even whenever I say I will get all the things done on the to-do list, I don't because I don't end up having the energy. So I thought, what other way can I serve more of my community? This makes me sound like such a goody two shoes kind of, how can I serve more of my community? But this is, you know me, you've been here long enough to know this is actually the way that I think. How can I serve more people? This will serve more people. It is I can have as many people as want to be in Ink Village as want to be there and support them all at the cottage level. What's the cottage level? Let me tell you a little about what is happening there. So in Ink Village, I was starting to say my superpower is collecting amazing people and watching them and helping them write, helping them get the writing of their heart done in a sustainable, as easy as possible way in the life that they already have, being writers that they already are. You don't have to wait until you're a better writer. You cannot wait till you have more time or more energy or better health. We learn how to fit actual writing into the pockets of the life we live in now. And that is how we find happiness and ease in writing by number one, doing the work. Number two, not pushing ourselves too hard. And number three, having ultimate kindness and generosity towards ourselves when we inevitably miss the goal, because we will. I miss it on a weekly basis. Sometimes I'll miss it on a daily basis, depending on the month. We move the goalposts kindly. And this takes practice, and this takes somebody modeling this for you and around you. And this is what I do in my classes. And this is what I can do for all of you in Ink Village. So what is Ink Village? Ink Village is a Slack community and is so cute. If you go to rachelherron.com/Ink Village, you can see some of the Slack channels that we have, like the Village Square, which is our sun-dappled central plaza where writers gather to share their intentions and find their rhythm. Start your writing day there. We have the Mill, which is where we can talk about plot ideas. We have the tavern, which is where we can pull up a chair by the fireplace. You can share your triumphs and find kindred spirits to go with you on this writing journey. This is where I put in the text here, but I mean it. This is where writing friends become writing family, because it happens and it's awesome. It's incredible. We have the clockmaker, where we talk about plans and rejiggering and goals, anything that has to do with a time aspect. This is all happening in the Slack. One of the reasons I am doing this is because I am ending Rachel Says Write and Rachel Says Plan. I'm ending all these little piecemeal offerings that I've been doing for writers because I'll have a great idea and I'll say, oh, I'm going to do that. And I offer it to you for this much. And there's so many of them and so many different Slack channels. I want to integrate them so it takes me less time to actually do all the things in order to help all the people. And I want it in one place. And the one place is Ink Village. Rachel Says Plan, which is where we talked about planning, is in the clockmaker shop now. That's where we'll be doing the same damn thing. Rachel Says Write does not exist anymore, because in Ink Village, we have more time to write together in the guild writing sessions. I know it's too cute, but I love it. The guild writing sessions are silent writing sessions, which are introvert friendly. And there are a lot more of them because I'm doing them every Monday through Friday, US time zones in the morning. They are unhosted in our shared Zoom room. They're unhosted because they will be running from 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time. And at 7 a.m. Pacific time, which is when they'll start every day, I'll be asleep because it's going to be either between 2 and 4 a.m., depending on the time of year in New Zealand. I will not be awake at 2 to 4 a.m. But what I have heard is that people miss that writing time in the morning-ish areas or on their morning coffee break. So I am making that available. It will be unhosted. It will just be where you show up and you write in a Zoom room quietly. You can type in the chat, but I'm not going to encourage actual vocal talking. That will not be happening, just typing in the chat if you want to and you don't have to. But otherwise, you're just sitting with somebody who is becoming a friend, writing shoulder to shoulder on Zoom. And then, just as I've done in Rachel Says Write for so long, we're going to have 2 to 3 afternoon to evening sessions, which will be hosted mostly by me. But if I have to be out of town, then it's hosted by the wonderful Ed, who does even a better job than I do at hosting Rachel Says Write, now called the Guild Writing Sessions. And again, those are 2 to 3 times in the afternoon/evening US time zones. Those are varying start times and they're always announced the week before, so you can sign up for them. If you sign up for them and don't come, it doesn't matter. You can sign up, or you don't have to sign up for them at all. You can just drop in. All of these are drop in, drop out. You can come for 15 minutes. You can come for 1 hour instead of the 2 hours that they're open. You can come and then leave and then come back again. They are open door. They are for you. They are not the point of Ink Village, though. If you can't make any of those writing times, please know that the community is where it's at. The Slack community, which is available 24/7, is where it's at. We will also have, this is so cool, our own O-Write room, which will always be open. So if 2 of you are over in the Slack and you want to write together, go over to the O-Write channel, which is just ours. You'll be able to see whoever's in there with you. You'll be able to see their word count moving. You can't see them. You can't see their face or hear their voice. You can't see their words, but you can see the word count moving. It doesn't have to be a race. For me, it's never a race. I don't have that kind of competitive Sasha Black thing in my body. I do have a little bit of competition, but not like her. But just knowing that somebody else is there moving words around, super, super helpful. So that's available 24/7. You can do that. Or you can just do sprints by yourself. If nobody else is around, you can do a sprint by yourself and then come back and report it to us. That will be happening over in the Slack channel. And then there's also going to be, and this is super cool, this is called the Village Crier. It is the weekly podcast that is just for Ink Village members. And this is directly taken from my 90 Days to Done and 90-day revision classes, where the students ask questions all week, and once a week I do a YouTube video for them. I've always joked that the YouTube video is really more of a podcast because all I'm doing is looking at the screen and answering the questions. I'm not doing anything interesting. You should not be watching me. I'm incredibly boring. So put on the YouTube and listen while you're doing the dishes. And that's what we're going to be doing for this. It'll actually be a podcast. I think I have found a podcast provider that will do a private RSS feed so you can subscribe to it, or I'll probably put it on the YouTube as an unlisted as well. So you can put it on YouTube if you want to, or watch it if you would want to, but why would you do that? But that will be just for us. And this Q&A is the secret sauce of those 90-day classes because all of these questions are around the goal that you are working on at that moment. And when you ask a question, it prompts somebody else to listen and ask their own question or clarification. And it becomes this gorgeous big conversation about craft, mindset, and business. There's no questions that are off limits. I mean, obviously, don't like ask something inappropriate, but you wouldn't. Um, but if it's about the business of writing, the craft of writing, or mindset of writing, that's what we talk about for as long as you need it to be. Sometimes those YouTubes in the classes are up to 90 minutes long. Hopefully they won't be like that. Usually they're probably about 20 to 30 minutes. But often those ones get up to an hour, and that is some gold stuff. And it's super fun for me to answer and for me to be talking with you on these things. Also, on the Village Crier super secret podcast just for Ink Village members, we're going to be doing things like talking to members of the community, little interviews. We're just going to be playing with that podcast format. And maybe if you're in Ink Village and you want to be on that show, that we can make that happen. So things like that are going to be happening. We're going to have some all new workshops. We're going to have a shared celebration channel. We're going to have shared Spotify playlists. We're going to have weekly wins. I'm thinking about a book club, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that. What else are we going to do? If you're in Ink Village, any of the writing retreat slash new workshops that I do, they are free. They are included in that, which is like an automatic huge savings right there. So that's what Ink Village is. It is for me to put everything that I'm offering in one place to give it to you. Um, what's and then I'm forgetting to tell you. So that's the basic level. That's the cottage level. That's called the cottage. It is $99 a month. But if you're screaming, don't go away. Um, let's see. There is also the workshop, which includes 2,000 words of detailed professional editing from me per month. There's also the study, which is 4,000 words of detailed professional editing per month by me, and a one-on-one 45-minute fireside coaching session with me. This is big. This is an experiment on my part. I haven't coached on a regular basis for a very long time because it does take energy and I need to manage my energy, but it is also something that gives me energy. So I'm very excited about doing this. And then there is the Banana Pants, the Hearth, which is the expensive level. This is the only one that is a little bit more expensive monthly than my classes. And that is two 45-minute fireside coaching sessions with me and up to 10,000 words of detailed professional editing per month. I don't know how many people I can take on at that level. We will see as it goes. But that is the your personal writing sanctuary with direct access. I need to put out an FAQ to the email that you might have gotten about it, but one of the commonly asked questions I'm already getting in the one day that it's been open is, can I move tiers? Absolutely. You can move tiers at any time. If you want to be in the cottage, just basic, getting all the good stuff, you can be in that for as long as you want. If you want some coaching or if you want some editing, bump up for a month or two over to another tier. Absolutely, there's no commitment at any level. There's a 2-week free trial, so you can just come and try it out. And if you are LGBTQIA+, if you are BIPOC, or if this would be a real financial hardship for you at the $99, I have at the bottom of the page, rachaelherron.com/inkvillage, a pay what you can application. Please go fill that out. Go fill that out with what you can pay. If you want to be a part of this and $99 is just not doable, please come fill that out. I welcome you to do that. I do know that it is very worth the $99. And I also know that $99 in this economy is difficult for a lot of folks. So just, hit me up. Hit me up if you need to. A couple of things on the editing. If you choose to be at an editing level, I do not edit first drafts. I will read a first draft and I will tell you what I love about it, but first drafts are too early to edit, so I won't do that. But again, I will read and happily comment on what I love. I will only edit drafts that are in revision. And coaching times, if you want to be coached by me, I would love to have you. But I only coach on Wednesday and Thursday evenings in US time zones. So if a Wednesday/Thursday late afternoon, early evening does not work for you, then probably the cottage or the workshop, which is an editing level, would be best for you. Because I am doing this to maintain sanity and control around my energy and my time. Um, and I know that that is the best thing for me to do. And I am so excited because the community has already started. It's already blossoming. It's already beautiful. And it makes me so excited. It makes me have sparkle eyes. It makes me have excitement and flutters and butterflies. And I knew when I was opening it, I was just like almost ill. I was like literally just felt nauseated. And that is always a good sign for me. I know what dread feels like. Dread is gross, and I just want to lie on the floor. Excitement and exhilaration and the way I feel about this village is, I think, what I may have been heading for a very long time. So again, 90 days to done, 90-day revision. They'll be coming back in the future, maybe in 3 or 4 months. I can't tell you when. I will have the time and bandwidth, and most importantly, energy to do that and all my other writing stuff that I'm doing. So I am so super grateful that this will help me help more people at a lower cost and have a lot of fun doing it. And I can get to know perhaps you. Maybe you've been listening a long time and we've never hung out. Let's hang out. Let's write together. Let's do this. I would love to have you. RachelHerron.com/Ink Village. That's the end of the ad. I'd really love to have you. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Marybeth Mayhew Whalen, who is the author of Every Moment Since and 9 previous novels. Marybeth received a bachelor's in English with a concentration in writing and editing from NC State University a long time ago and has been writing ever since. She's the co-founder of The Book Tide, an online community of readers where a rising tide raises all books. Marybeth and her husband are the parents of 6 kids who are now all in all various stages of adulting. A native of Charlotte, North Carolina, Marybeth now calls Sunset Beach, North Carolina, home. Please enjoy this fantastic interview. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being um, one of the people that I talk to. It means a lot to me that you are here. Okay, here we go with the interview. Well, I could not be more pleased to welcome you to the show. Would you please share your name and your pronouns with us?
Sure, Marybeth Whalen and she, her.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to have you on the show. You are prolific, you write a lot, and this is a show where we talk about writing process and how you get the words done. Would you mind sharing that with us? How do you actually work in your day to day?
Well, right now I'm under deadline, so I'm working an awful lot. I actually got sick over December and stayed sick for a couple of weeks, like a lot of people have around the world, I think. And then, of course, we had the holidays and we had a trip we had already planned. So I am woefully behind, and I don't like that feeling at all. But in a normal world, I write usually about 1,000 words a day. That's kind of my sweet spot. If I try to push myself past that, easy for me to run dry. And if the words are flowing, I don't stop it. I don't be like, oh, there's 1,000 words, I'm out of here.
Right.
But that's kind of, you learn kind of what your sweet spot is, and that's definitely mine. And I tell people your average novel's 80 to 90,000 words. That's a very just ballpark number.
Mhm.
But if you write 1,000 words a day for 90 days, you have a draft. And,
Yeah.
that's 3 months' time. I mean,
Yeah.
let's say 4 just to be kind for the
Yeah.
days you don't get to it. But it's not that cumbersome for me, actually, when I broke it down to just numbers. You can do it. I mean, you can write a book in about 4 months, edit it for about 2 months, and by 6 months have something you can show people. So
That
yeah,
is.
that's kind of how I arrived. That was a process for me to get to that point to understand all that, but now that's how I see it. Yeah.
Sometimes I do like talking about the the hard stuff here. And I have a friend, Juliet Blackwell, who when she's under deadline, she literally works for 12 to 14 hours a day for maybe 2 to 3 weeks and doesn't see her friends. She goes from 0 to revised novel. What does under deadline? Because I can't. I can do
No.
fresh words for 2 hours and I can revise for longer in a day. But what does your time look like when you are under a deadline? I'm just curious.
Um, yeah, I could do about 4 hours, I did today. And actually when it was time to stop, I was kind of sad. I was in the flow of things, but I had things, life intervenes and you have to get other things done. So
Yeah,
I did have to
yeah.
put it down, but it's sitting all in a special spot so I can go pick it right back up and hopefully go right back into it. So
And right now, you're in a revision phase to get
no,
it off the desk,
I'm
or is this
writing it.
first draft?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
writing it. So, and I'm factoring in time so that I can do my own revision before I
yeah,
turn it in.
yeah.
I actually majored in writing and editing, so I've always done my own editing before anybody else sees it, which is kind of funny, but
What
yeah,
a great thing to do. I've never heard anybody say that because revision is one of those things that most writers come to a little bit late with difficulty. And like I got a master's in creative writing, but never learned how to revise a book until I was actually
funny.
writing books. How
Yeah,
did you marry those two? How did you know to do that?
actually, the I went to North Carolina State University, go Pack, and I ended up that they had you could major as in English and you could pick from three concentrations, and one was like rhetoric, and one was teaching, and one was writing and editing. And you
So
took
cool.
it was like this umbrella of, I mean, I took technical writing, I took journalism, I took linguistics, I took all kinds of, I tell people it's just such a great major. So, and it served me well.
Wow, it
So,
certainly has. It's got
yeah, yeah.
that's you're really using your degree. That's
I know.
amazing.
Bizarre, right? You don't
Uncommon,
run into that
uncommon.
very often. Yeah.
What is the most exciting thing that you have ever uncovered about your own writing process?
It's so funny. I think the fact that you can be writing and think, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know that I have whatever I need for this particular scene or this particular book. It depends. I'm going through a little bit of that with this one. And it's amazing how the words are there. They show up. And I always say they emerge. And they do. They do. Just to have that faith it's happened before. And so it will happen again. And yeah, I say faith is a blank page. So
Oh, that's a beautiful phrase. Faith is a blank page because they really, really do always show up. And I know that's hard for newer writers to hear because they're like, I don't have any proof of that. But,
exactly. You have to
but
do it
yeah, you have
to
to build that
understand
up.
that it will come.
Mhm.
But you have to, have to sit there with your hands on the keyboard for that to happen. And
Right.
I say the hardest thing I do every day that I write is open up that laptop.
Tell me more about
I
that.
mean,
And actually, that might go right into the next question, which is what part of writing do you struggle with most? Is it that
I mean,
opening?
I have several friends. We've talked about it and how we kind of circle the laptop and eye it, cautiously for about an hour even before we just open the dumb thing up, because it's like it is that anticipation of like, but will it be there today?
Yeah.
Or I have a scary scene that I don't know that I have what it takes to write. I've done like scenes where I actually had a scene a couple of novels ago where I had to block an actual physical fight. And I was like, I circled the computer a lot that day because I was like, I don't know that I can block a fight.
Mhm.
And but you have to just work your way into it. And it does work out. It always works out.
Do
So
you have any specific or preferred rituals or things or even non-rituals, things that you need to do or want to do before you can open the document?
Um, no, I mean, honestly, I just kind of do the same things every time. I have the same Pandora channel. Like I started writing in 2008, and Pandora, there was no Spotify. And everybody makes fun of me because I mean, I pay for Pandora every month and I will keep Pandora. I hope it never goes away because, right, turning on that one specific channel, and you know how you can curate them and you can
Yeah.
add different artists and take
Yeah.
things out, not like songs that don't work. That thing is so perfected at this point. I never want it to go away. I will happily pay the $6.99 or whatever it is a
Mhm.
month just to have number one, no ads, and number two, those exact songs. And it's like this great soundtrack for my writing. And so I'm a little bit woo-woo about that, I guess, just having
Uh,
that music when I write.
I love that. And that music is for all your books? Does it
Yeah.
change a little bit? No, it's
No,
just always
it's just that Pandora channel.
I'm
Yeah.
so curious. How many songs ish are on that channel?
Oh, I have no idea. At this point, I have no idea. It is called, it's a really obscure band called the Blue Nile from Scotland.
Ooh,
And no one knows who they are
no.
except for a fan page that I'm on Facebook, and everybody there knows who they are. But I've been a fan since I was a kid, and I love Paul Buchanan, who's the lead singer. I love his voice, and I love their music. And I created that channel back when, like I said, when Pandora was new,
Yeah.
and I just started adding, different artists that kind of had similar sounds and that I loved. And it's just, I don't know, it's for me, it's the perfect writing music. But
That is
everybody, I've
so
talked to
cool.
people that like they have to listen to sound like um, orchestral soundtrack type music or, no words at all. And they all have singing, and it doesn't bother me. So
Mm. It just gets
weird.
into your brain in the right spot
It's
for
like
that.
Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
I hear that music. I'm like, oh, we're writing. That's what we're
hmm
doing now. Yeah.
I've had some, I do soundtracks, but for each book, and they grow slowly throughout the writing of the book. But I've been in places where I hear one of the pivotal songs and I'll actually get the feeling of the book, in the grocery store or whatever. I didn't need that feeling right now. But yeah, it
Exactly.
really is the Pavlov response.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So what are you really good at writing wise?
Okay, this is a hard question for me. I had to really think about it. Because every single thing that I think of, I'm like, oh well, that could be better. That could improve.
Oh, good.
Um,
This is why I encourage you to brag.
so I guess I would have to say, number one, I'm really good at coming up with ideas, like novel
Mm.
ideas. I probably
hmm
have several a week at least. Now, very few of them make it to actual novels, obviously, but I just have these ideas, and and very often they'll just stay with me, and the ones that stick are the ones that become a novel. And so I do have a lot of ideas, and so that's kind of, I guess, a strength.
Heck
I
yeah.
didn't know that. I thought everybody had lots and
I
lots of
do not.
ideas until
No.
several years ago, my agent was like, no, a lot of my clients, we have to sit and we have to really think for a long time about what will be written next. So I just thought everybody was just thinking about novel ideas every day.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, and I can't say that's something I'm good at. That's just something that comes natural.
Yeah.
And that I don't know that that can be taught. Well, I think it can be a little bit. Um, but then the other one, I guess, would be dialogue. Dialogue also comes very naturally to me. Just be able to write. In fact, when I get to a dialogue scene, I'm happy because that goes so much faster than a lot of other
I
things.
I always find that like that always feels like galloping dialogue
Yes.
for me. I know that some people do not gravitate normally to dialogue, and then it doesn't feel like galloping, but to me it does as well. I want to go back to your ideas for a moment too. So you've got these novel ideas that float to you, and if they stick around, they may become a novel someday. Do you capture them anywhere, or is that kind of their test? If they keep coming back, they
No.
might become a novel.
Yeah. And I mean, I will scribble something down. In fact, I'm kind of doing a culling right now of all my like journals and planners and stuff from 2024. And I
Yeah,
was flipping through an old one that I was about to toss, and I saw a page where I had written something down and I'd forgotten all about it. And I was like, oh, well, that was pretty good. Yeah, I
yeah,
need to transfer that and see if it sticks.
yeah.
Um, but so this is not my quote. This is a dear friend of mine, Ariel Lawhon. She wrote The Frozen River, which has kind of been everywhere. But she talks about when you're at a cocktail party, most women are in like the basic little black dress, right?
hmm
That's just the classic
hmm
look to wear. And she said, but every so often there'll be the woman that shows up in a red dress, and everybody's eye is drawn to hers. And she said, you can have ideas all day long, but when you have the little red dress idea, because that's the one that
Yes.
just stands out. And you could never write a word and it would just keep coming back and keep coming back. And those are the ones okay, I've got something here. That is kind of that's my gauge, really. If
What
they
a beautiful way to say that too, and a beautiful way to kind of get that image in our head. So then, so the ideas for new books are coming to you easily. I can't believe you get more than one or two a week. That's incredible to me. What about ideas for scenes and for building out the rest of the book? Do those also flow to you really naturally?
Not necessarily. That's not
Yeah.
as easy. No, characters come to me pretty who they are. Some of them I have to work with a little bit. Usually every book, there's one that I kind of have to pull.
Hmm.
And, in editing, it's like my last one, one of the characters, it was like, okay, she needs to be a little stronger. She's a little too, mamby-pamby. We need that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, scenes can be hard for me. I do plot ahead of time. I am a plotter, which does, I think, make it a lot easier to, I've already come up, quote unquote, with the scenes before I
Hmm.
ever embark on writing. So
How
that does make it
detailed
a
is
little
that
easier.
plotting that you do?
Pretty detailed. It's yeah, I can have I never write a book unless I have 40 scenes or I say scenes. When you and I mean pretty long scenes.
Yeah.
And this came from actually Susan Meissner, who is another
Oh
novelist.
yeah.
I went
She's
to a
great.
workshop she taught before I ever wrote the first novel. I think I was working on the first novel and I went to a workshop and she recommended this and I've done it ever since. She said she just gets a yellow legal pad and she brainstorms 40 things that could happen in the book. Yeah, that's better to say things than scenes.
Hmm.
40 things that can happen in this book. And the reason, again, it's numbers. If you have if that thing can be about 2,000 words and you have 40 of them, you've got an 80,000 word book and you have not written yourself into a corner where this was not a novel, this was a novella or a short story. And I
Hmm.
didn't have enough. And when I first started writing, I still have 6 kids, but they were all at home and they were much younger when I first started writing. And I didn't, when I sat down, when I got time to sit at the computer and write, I didn't have time to use that time to figure out what was going to happen. And so if I got writing time, 30 minutes, I had a scene list. I looked at it and said, okay, today we're writing the fight scene or the date scene or whatever it is. And that doesn't mean that to me, it doesn't distract from creativity because I didn't necessarily know what was going to exactly happen or what they were
Right.
necessarily going to say. I just knew here's how we're moving the story forward today. And that really helped me a lot. And I think however you teach yourself to do this, typically that becomes your pattern because you don't know how to do it any other way. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Exactly. If it
I
is
still do
working,
that.
keep going.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic advice. And a scene or a thing that happens is so often right around that 1,800 to 2,200 word mark.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so nice to know going in, okay, this can be something. I'm not
Mhm.
I mean, it feels bad to say wasting my time, but you don't want to work and work and work for a couple of months and then realize, this was not what I wanted it to be, or never had the
Mhm.
hope of being what I wanted it to be. So
Or you get to the middle where I always do and go, oh, there's no book here at all. Because I
that's
am
that's
more of a
one, yeah,
pantser. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And people say you're either going to edit on the beginning or you're going to edit on the end. It just
exactly.
depends. Yeah, you're
It's
going to
it's true.
lose time somewhere in there
I
where you
am
find
the
out.
on the end.
Yeah,
I'm a reviser forever because I
yeah,
just do
exactly,
so crap at the in the first draft. Yeah, fabulous.
exactly. Yeah.
What is the kindest thing that you've ever done for yourself as a writer?
Okay, so I guess I would have to say, and I'm just going off recent history because I don't want to go way back and dig. But so my last book, the one that just came out in October, it was a very hard book to write. It was a very hard book to sell. My agent and I parted ways over it.
Oh
She
wow.
did not want me to do it, and I mean it was amicable parting. It was just
Yeah. Yep.
she recommended I not write it. I There was nothing else I wanted to write but that book. And
Hmm.
so she was like, okay, go if you feel you must, then do it. And no harm, no foul. I went, I thought no harm, no foul. And I just merrily strutted off into the world and thought, well, I'm gonna sell this book. And that's not the way it went at all. It was a very slog through having to find another agent and having to explain this book and a lot of revision. And it's a tough subject. It's about a missing child and the family that has lost him. And it was not an easy book to create. And there were so many times that I gave up, like just literally gave up. And I think the kindest thing I did to myself was come back to it again and
Mm.
again and learn to fight for it and believe in it,
Mm.
really at times against all odds. So
Was it
that
just
probably
Was it just you on that battleground, or did you have people in your corner that were also fighting for it? Because I know sometimes in our careers
Oh,
we're
yeah.
the only ones. Like, but
Well, no, my husband, God bless him, he uh he picked me up off the floor many times. And I remember one time there was an agent that we had gone back and forth. We'd even had a phone call. She had given me some great notes, and it was looking really positive. And I got the rejection from her on our anniversary, like an hour before we were supposed to go out to dinner. I was like, never mind. I'm not going out to dinner. I don't feel like celebrating. It was awful. And he kind of put up with it for about, he let me wallow for about an hour. And he was like, we don't have to go like to the big fancy dinner that we had reserved, but can we just go up to the little place at the corner and, just have something to eat and just get out of the house? And I think it'll be good for you. And I kind of, okay. And so we ended up doing just that. And it was so funny because they were having trivia night, and it was like 80s music trivia, which I'm extremely good at. And so I got all into answering the questions. It was the perfect thing for me to have done. And then I got home and I was much happier. But, it's those kind
oh,
of things that it becomes kind of a fun, cool memory. But at the time, it was not fun at all.
now that the
So,
book is out there and published and it has readers and it's so much easier, but I just really love this answer that was an incredibly kind and brave thing that you did for yourself, that you said, this is my book and this
yeah,
is the one I'm taking out, and got a
yeah,
new agent and
yeah,
presumably got a new editor and new publishing. And did you
yeah,
change
yeah.
publishing houses as well?
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I said everything. Yeah, I took it. I say I took it back to the studs.
that's
And
huge.
yeah,
That's
it was
gorgeous.
I look back at it and I'm like, I don't know why I did that, but it was just this story. And one of the Ariel Lawhon, who I just told you about earlier, we were on the phone and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to quit. Like, I'm gonna have to start another book. This is not working. Da da da. And the little boy that I should preface this, the little boy that's missing, is his name is Davy.
Mhm.
And she was like, yeah, I totally get it, and you're right, and you were well within your rights to make that decision. I would completely support if that's what you wanted to do. She was like, but I mean, you would really do that to Davy?
That is a
And I was
low
like,
blow.
that's not nice at all. And why did you say that? And you're not my friend. And so that after that, I hung up the phone and I was stung, but at the same time, I was like, she's right. She is
Mhm.
exactly right. So
And that's what good friends in the writing business do. Is I have a couple
yeah,
friends that, and I've said this before on the show, but we routinely quit forever and we mean it. And these two friends will say, "Okay, I'm so sorry." And then the next day they say, "Okay, so when are you going to write again?
yeah,
Today,
yep,
tomorrow?" Yeah, you can quit as
exactly.
often as you
Yeah.
want. You just have to keep
Showing back up the next
unquitting.
day. Yeah, unquitting.
But it is real when you do it.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
you
Yeah.
fully mean it.
You full 100%. This is the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you please tell us a specific moment in your life when you knew you had ink in your veins?
I honestly, I don't remember a time that I didn't feel it. People,
Oh,
people always ask
yeah.
that question of writers. I hear it asked at other events of other writers,
Yeah.
and my answer is just so like my mom said when I was like a toddler, barely walking, the books were across the room in like my little play area. And she said I would pick the book up and it would be, half my size. And I would toddle back over and hand it and plop down beside her and say, read. And she would read the book and she would finish it. She would hand it to me and I would take it back and get another one out of the pound. She said I would do that all day until till it was time to go cook dinner or whatever. And she said that she did it on purpose because it would wear me out, all the walking and the carrying of the books. She's smart. And so that I was born with a love of words, just a voracious love of words. And I really was in my 30s before I realized that not everybody in the world is sitting at, a restaurant making up a story about the couple sitting next to them. I thought that was all of our private world. And my husband, who's an engineer, was like, no, 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 not everybody's thinking that. So, yeah,
I literally remember looking up at a window and saying to my partner, like, don't you, make up, you know how you make up the story about that person right there and what they're going to be doing next. And she said, no, no, no. I was stunned. Like, it's got to be boring. Oh, oh, okay. Well,
exactly. Like, what do you do in your little mind?
what is it? What is going on in there? Exactly. If you're not entertaining yourself with that. Oh, oh.
Exactly. What keeps you entertained?
Speaking of keeping us entertained, can you tell us about the best book that you've read recently and why did you love it?
So the book I've touted all of 2024, it feels like I just
Ooh.
literally put it on a YouTube board this
Uh-huh.
afternoon. It's called The Devil at His Elbow, and it is about Alec Murdaugh, which many people were obsessed with the Murdaugh murder that happened in South Carolina. I live in North Carolina, so I'm not very far from there.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why it was even more impactful for me. But I just think it was such a great book. It is nonfiction.
Ooh.
And what I loved about it, number one, it's Southern Gothic at its best, but it's even worse because it's true. And number
Ah.
two, the treatment that she gave to this story, because the way that it was portrayed in the media was Alec Murdaugh killed his wife and son. Oh, and by the way, he defrauded all these people. That, he committed financial crimes. She, with such dignity, goes through each and every one of these people and tells their story and what happened to them and what he really did
Ooh.
to them. And it magnifies the crime of who he was and what he did. And it just hits so much harder than just what we thought we saw. And I literally, when I saw the book was coming out, I was like, I've seen all the documentaries, I've heard all the podcasts. There's nothing I can learn wrong. There was so much to learn.
I can't
And she
wait to
also
read
goes
it.
back like 3 generations, 3 or 4 generations in his history and shows like he was to the manner born of this kind of corruption. His father, grandfather, great grandfather, they were all like this. He just he was, I think every generation got a little bit more daring,
Right,
and
right.
it boggles the mind that these people behaved this way, and not just for him, but for his whole family lineage. So
I'm going to read this. You just like ticked so many of the boxes that I want to
it
read.
was like
So,
500 or more like 500 something pages, and I read it in like two days. I could
oh,
not put it down. Yes,
thank
it's
you.
just like riveting, page turning. It was so good.
Page
So
turning nonfiction is one of my favorite things to escape into. All
yes,
right, and also speaking of escaping into, will you please tell us about your most recent book?
I sure will.
And Davy.
This is the book that I just talked about. Dave, yeah, The Missing Boy is Davy. Yep. So this is Every Moment Since,
Beautiful cover.
and very happy with the cover, and still surreal. In fact, there's a very strong story element about Back to the Future in the story because Davy loved the movie. The movie had just come out. This is in the fall of 1985. The movie had
Hmm.
come out in that summer, and he is wearing a jacket his mother made for him that is a copy of Marty McFly's jacket, that jean
Cute.
jacket, the iconic
Uh-huh.
jean jacket. And so when all that stuff was going on with the novel, and I was like, I don't know that this thing's ever going to see the light of day, blah, blah, blah. I made this promise to myself. So maybe this is a gift I gave myself. You're reminding me. I made this promise to myself that if and when it ever did come out, I would go see the Broadway musical of Back to the Future. And so
Oh,
when I said we went on a little trip in December, that's what we did. We went to New York and we saw, and so that was
I
such
have
a full
goosebumps.
circle. Yeah, that was such a full circle moment for me to sit there and watch that and just remember all that hard work and tears and, you know,
Mhm.
thinking it would never happen and then sitting there and thinking, here we are. So, but getting back to the book,
I
in
love that.
1985, Davy is living in a small southern town with his family. And one night he is out playing night games with his brother and a bunch of neighborhood kids. And he goes missing from a big field in front of a farmhouse. And 21 years later, his very distinct jacket is found and it ignites the cold case. And the story centers around 4 people who have connections to that night and a lot of things they've not really faced or fessed up to. So, and they all have to come back and deal with some things they would rather avoid. And yeah, so
Fabulous. Also,
yeah.
also checking off so many of my catnip boxes.
Uh,
So thank you for that. And where can we find you online?
sure, marybethwhalen.com. And I have a Substack. And if you go to Mary Beth Whalen, you'll see it. Or you can probably also search me on Substack. And I have not posted there much lately, but I will be back
You
soon.
have been busy when you're
Like
off of
so many
deadline.
people. Yeah, we're all coming back from the slumber that is the holidays.
This is my first real full day at the desk, and my brain
I
is,
believe it.
granola. So, yeah. Thank
I
you
believe
so
it.
much for being with us
Yeah,
today. It's been
thank
a
you.
joy to
Thanks for
talk to
having
you.
me. Nice,
Of
yeah, nice to meet
course.
you.